Hi, today I'm going to teach you some basic engine stuff. I'm going to use a Honda Accord, a Toyota Tercel, and a Ford Aerostar as examples to teach you kind of what's going on in your engine compartment and where to find certain things and how to know if they need you to pay any attention to them. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the oil, which you probably already know about that, but on this one, right here is where the oil goes in. Right here is where you check your oil. Always do it with the car off. Clean the dipstick off, put it back in. Okay. Most cars are going to have a little line showing you how much oil you need, so this car is just a little low. On this car, it's pretty much the same thing. The oil is really obvious right here. The dipstick is right back here. And then vans are always a little different, but it's usually pretty clearly labeled. The oil is right here, the dipstick is right here. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to check your transmission fluid. On the van, the transmission fluid is the same thing as the oil dipstick. That you can do with the car running or the car turned off, and it'll be the same as the oil. There's a couple lines showing you if it's full or not. This car is a stick shift, which means you cannot check the transmission fluid unless you actually open up the transmission. On this car, the transmission dipstick is down in here. Down in here. Some of them can be kind of hidden. Your battery, obviously, it's good to make sure your terminals look nice and clean, like these ones are. That's a battery that looks good. This is a battery that doesn't look quite as good. If your terminals start looking like this, or if you get some foamy stuff around there, it would be time to go get a battery service done. The batteries are obviously the same thing. Checking your brake fluid. This is your master cylinder. Most cars, the master cylinder is going to be on the driver's side of the engine. Always good to look in there and make sure that it's at a level that is good. The master cylinder on this car is a little more hidden back here. This one just pops right off. And next to that is the slave cylinder for the clutch. And the slave cylinder is going to have brake fluid in there as well. That looks good. This one, the master cylinder, again, is right here. And the brake fluid looks good. The next thing is your power steering fluid. That can kind of be all over the place. In this car, the power steering fluid is over here. The level looks like it is good. On this car does not have a power steering fluid reservoir. In the van, the power steering fluid reservoir on this one is way back down here. And again, you would just take the lid off to make sure the level is okay. The belts on these are all different. Some cars have multiple belts, some cars have one big long serpentine belt. This is one that has one big long serpentine belt. It's a little difficult to see in there, but you can check out your belt and see if it's cracking. If it's cracking, that means it's time to get a new belt. This car only has one belt as well. You can get a better look at this one with the flashlight. To peek down at my belt, I don't know if you can see it that well, but that belt is cracking, so that means it is time to be replacing that belt. This car has two different belts. The alternator belt, the power steering belt. And those belts look good. filter is great to check often. If you have a nice clean air filter, you're going to have better gas mileage. And the air filter is usually in a box like this with an air line coming off of it. This one takes a socket to get off, so I'm not going to check that one. This is an example of another air filter. This one, you can just pop these right off. Pull the filter out and check it. That filter looks pretty clean. That's pretty white. A good way to see how nasty your filter is to take it and drop it on the ground or somewhere, and if you see a big cloud of stuff coming out, that's a sign that it's getting dirty, but it's still looking pretty good, so you don't necessarily need to change it. Air filter on the van is right here. This is another one that you need to use a socket to get access to that. And the tires. Good way to know if you need tires. These are getting to the point of being bald. Those are not good tires. It's definitely time to get new tires on this one. These are tires that look good. I know these tires are just about a year old, but you can see there's a lot of tread left there. These tires are getting to the point that it's probably time to start thinking about getting new ones soon. But they're not nearly as bad as those ones on the van. Those are ones that I would say that I probably wouldn't want to drive my kids in that van, but I would drive myself. And checking your coolant. Always make sure the car is fairly cooled off. You can just take a peek in there. You want to make sure the level is right at the top. If you ever overheat or you're low on coolant, don't just put straight water in there. All that's going to do is put rust into your engine, and it's going to kill your engine. Not a good idea. You always want to use coolant. And always make sure that cap is back on there good, and make sure that your overflow tank is filled up where it should be. On this car, again, the coolant is just right here. This is your radiator. This is the coolant overflow tank. On this one, the radiator is right here, and this one actually does not have a coolant overflow tank. This has a tube that just runs off and drains out onto the ground. And that is it. Kind of basic car maintenance, checking stuff out. It's going to be pretty much like that on most cars, most vans. If you liked my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye!